Good afternoon, dear guest. Welcome to MURCIR Wednesday Talks. I'm Zuhal Mertuzner. I'm the director of Marmara University Research Center for International Relations, shortly MURCIR. I have been here since the last December as a director. Before we delve into our session, let me provide a brief introduction about our esteemed research center. MURCIR has been a pillar of academic excellence for the past 30 years, thanks to the invaluable contribution of numerous prominent scholars in Turkish academia. It has not only witnessed, but also actively contributed to the evolution of international relations since the end of the Cold War. So we encourage you to follow our activities through social media accounts and on our YouTube channel. Wednesday Talks are a major part of our activities to follow the agenda of international relations. By 2020, talks started to be broadcasted via YouTube and online platforms, and that made us much closer to international academic community. Today, we have a very prominent guest speaker, Yücel Acer. He is the professor of international law. Let me to continue with Yücel Acer's short biography. Actually, it's not short, it's a little bit long, but to make it brief, he's born in 1971 and he received his undergraduate degree in international relations from the Faculty of Political Science of Ankara University. And then he has degrees from University Sheffield Law School in United Kingdom and University Bristol Law School in United Kingdom. Currently, he is professor of international law at the Department of International Law of the Faculty of Law of Ankara Yıldırım Beyazıt University. And he's also senior researcher and a member of governing board of DEHUCAM, National Center for the Sea and Maritime Law, and a researcher at SETA Foundation for Political, Economic, and Social Research. Today, our topic is ICC's decision about the Gaza case. And as we know that there are some the horrific the events there, and there are discussions about the international norms and standards. So the ICC had a decision, and it created a large discussion in international community. So today we will try to understand what is the content of this decision and what shall we expect from this decision in international the politics. Thanks again accepting our invitation, dear Professor Yücel Acer, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Zuhal. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to your institution, and especially to you for inviting me. It is going to be the first time that I'm going to be talking through your research center, and that's why I'm a bit delighted now. And the topic, as you all know, is about the trial of criminals through the International Criminal Court concerning the Gaza issue. Quite recently, International Criminal Courts issued a warrant of arrest for a couple of people, Netanyahu and ex-defense minister Gallant, are among three people who got warrant of arrest from the International Criminal Court. So that's why, you know, it became another topic now concerning the legal process against Israel, especially against Israel, since the start of Gaza war last year. Before looking at the reflections of the warrant of arrest especially about Netanyahu as a prime minister of Israel, I think it's quite wise to start with defining the process first, especially the criminal court, and then how this process started concerning the state of Palestine at the first instance. Then I will try to define what happened so far through the International Criminal Court. Then in the last part, I will try to, share my opinions about possible reflections of arrest for warrant for Netanyahu. As you all know, International Criminal Court was established with Rome's statute as an international agreement establishing International Criminal Court in 1998. And the statute came into the force in 2002. So that means about 22 years, the court is there looking at the situations in which the crimes which are covered by the statute are alleged to be committed. There are many cases at the moment before the court in which, or we can say situations in which many people are under trial at the moment for allegedly committing crimes which are, as I say, covered in the statute. If you look at the jurisdiction of court, we have to say that all the state parties, the states who accepted the statute and became a party to the International Criminal Court are under jurisdiction of the court. That means all the citizens of these countries are under the criminal jurisdiction of the court. At the moment, the number of the countries who accepted the statute are over 130. So there are a lot of countries, including the EU countries, who accepted the jurisdiction of the court. But the jurisdiction of court is quite interesting in the sense that this jurisdiction does not only cover the citizens of the state parties, but also cover the people who are allegedly commit crime in the territory of state parties. So that means it is quite possible that the court may try the people who are not the citizens of the state parties, simply because they are allegedly commit crimes in the territory of a state party. Let me give the very general actual description of the crimes who are covered in the statute. The first one is the war crimes. War crimes are defined in the statute as starting with the deliberately killing the people, especially the civilians, and then treating inhumanly. And there are a lot of acts which are actually violating the fundamental rights of the people especially during the military conflicts. It could be internal conflicts or international conflicts, doesn't really matter, as long as these acts are committed as the violation of fundamental rights of the people, especially the protected people like civilians, other people who are not combatant, So war crimes are, in a sense, individual acts. They are not actually parts of a plan to destroy or to attack on a group of people. But when we come to the crimes against humanity, which is the second category of the crimes covered by the statute, it's all about killing the people similarly and, torturing, treating inhumanly, attacking on the civilian structures. But if they are planned as a part of the general plan to attack on civilians or maybe destroy them, then it became crimes against humanity. So the acts could be same with the war crimes, but the intention is different. They are planned against the civilians or a group of non-combatant people to really harm them, in a sense, to destroy them. A third category of crime is crime of genocide covered by the statute. Genocide is a very special definition especially the definition comes from the Article 2 of Geneva Convention on Prevention of Genocide in 1951, entered into force in 1951. And almost all the countries are party to this International Convention on Prevention of Genocide, Prevention and Punishment of Genocide. So that's the situation concerning the International Criminal Court. How about the fact that it has a jurisdiction over Palestine? You know, Palestine, state of Palestine, actually, before becoming a party to the statute of the International Criminal Court, the state of Palestine declared that it accepts the jurisdiction of the court over the territory of Palestine in 2014. So before becoming a party, the state of Palestine has already accepted the jurisdiction of the court over the acts committed inside the territory of Palestine. And not much later, you know, Palestine became a party to the statute in April 2015. So before Palestine became a party, the prosecutor has already started an investigation, or we can say preliminary investigation into the territory of Palestine before April 2015. But anyway, in April 2015, Palestine became a full party to the convention establishing the International Criminal Court. That means the Palestine has really become one of the state parties, and the International Criminal Court has a full jurisdiction over the territory of Palestine. The first issue after Palestine became a party was whether the International Criminal Court's jurisdiction covers the territory of Palestine which are under Israeli occupation. That was the fundamental question at that time, because the prosecutor hesitated whether it would include into the territories which are under Israeli occupation. And the prosecutor asked to the the court, pretrial chamber, number one, and the question was whether the jurisdiction of the court covered the Palestinian territories under Israeli occupation. That is, these are given as Gaza, West Bank, including the East Jerusalem. And after the deliberation, in 2021, the chamber said that yes, the court has jurisdiction over the territories under Israeli occupation because these territories belong to Palestine. So that question was settled in a sense that the court has full jurisdiction over all the Palestinian territories, including the territories under Israeli occupation. Then just after this decision, the prosecutor opened a full investigation into the situation of Palestine in 2021. So since 2021, the prosecutor is actually conducting a full investigation into the Palestinian territories. So inevitably, this jurisdiction covers the citizens of Israel as well, because there are Israeli forces. And not only the forces, the citizens of Israel are already inside as settlers. They are already inside the Palestinian occupied territories, Gaza, not exactly Gaza, we can say, for the settlers, but especially West Bank and partially East Jerusalem. There are, Israelis living in East Jerusalem, and especially in West Bank, there are many illegal settlers of Israel into the Palestinian territories. So Israeli citizens, including the Israeli forces, are inside the Palestinian territory doing acts since many years, since 1967. But anyway, the court's jurisdiction started in 2014. We can safely say that all the events since 2015, which are conducted inside the Palestinian territories, including the occupied one. So the court is already, the prosecutor actually has already been, conducting full investigation when 7th October attacks started. So there were already full investigation into the Palestinian territories by the prosecutor of ICC. So when Hamas conducted a military assault on Israel on 7th October 2023, then as we know, Israel started a full-fledged military attack, especially on Gaza. In the first instance, it was like air assault, but then it turned into be a land forces entering into the Gaza, and there are like two kinds of attacks. One of them is still from air, and on the other hand, there are land forces of Israel conducting military assaults into the Gaza and inside the Gaza as well, because a couple of days later, Israeli forces entered into the Gaza, and since then there are Israeli forces inside almost all the parts of Israel, especially in the north of Gaza. So all these acts started, as a full-fledged military assault on Gaza. Let me say that the ICC jurisdiction does not only cover the Israeli citizens who are acting inside the occupied territories, but also covers the Palestinians or members of Palestinian military wings. They are also covered under jurisdiction. The court has a jurisdiction to try all people, including the Palestinians who are allegedly committed violations of especially the Geneva Conventions, but especially the statute of the court, in a sense that they are allegedly conducting crimes covered by the statute. So that's why the prosecutor is conducting investigations not only against the Israeli citizens, but also against the Palestinians in the Palestinian territory. The prosecutor, Karim, already visited a couple of months later, it visited the Rafah border between Gaza and Egypt, and made a statement there that it's quite normal that the court's jurisdiction covers all the events started in 7th October, on 7th October. Then the prosecutors included all the events after 7th October, including 7th October and afterward. All the events are covered into the investigation by the prosecutor. And the prosecutor, Karim Khan, had openly made a statement that all these are under court's jurisdiction. Then we know that all these events are investigated by the International Criminal Court's prosecutor. One of the significant developments concerning the process into the situation of Gaza and other parts of Palestinian territories, the prosecutor applied to the pretrial chamber of the court for an arrest warrant of actually a couple of people. One of them was Yahya Sinwar, who was one of the leaders of Hamas in Gaza. Another one was Haniyeh, is the leader of the political wing of Hamas. And another person was Mohammed Taif, again, one of the leaders for military wing of Hamas. And 3 Palestinians were demanded to be issued for a warrant of arrest by the prosecutor. On the Israeli side, the prosecutor demanded from the chamber that the chamber would issue a warrant of arrest for two people. One of them was Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the other one is Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. So the demand was made by the prosecutor in last May 2024. So that means about 6 months earlier, the prosecutor has already demanded warrant of arrest for these 5 people. 3 of them were Palestinians. Of course, there have been deliberations in the chambers since then. And the chamber is actually composed of 3 judges. So the deliberation was not made by the full court, but only the chamber, pre-trial chamber 1. And there are 3 judges deliberating on this request since then. It took a lot of time for an arrest warrant, I should say. You know, the arrest warrant decisions were just, you know, declared last week on 21st of November. So for 6 months, they have been deliberating, and I think that it took a lot of time. In the case of Putin, for example, it just took 1 month to declare a warrant of arrest. Putin and another person from Russian administration, a lady who is responsible for rights of children inside Russia. Why it took so much time? I think there are a lot of reasons. The first one is that the court and the prosecutor are, all the judges and the prosecutor are under huge pressure from some countries, I have to say. You know, I heard Netanyahu saying many times that the judges are anti-Semitic. They are against the Jewish people. Similar statements came from the United States as well. It's quite bizarre to say that all the judges and the prosecutor are anti-Semitic because they are conducting investigation and some, you know, pre-trial processes against Israel or against citizens of Israel. So, especially the prosecutor, Kerim Khan, is under so huge pressure that for the first time, a prosecutor, when he made a demand for the arrest warrant, he had to explain in such a more detail how he prepared this request for Netanyahu and Gallant and some other people. The prosecutors before this situation were not so detailed in their press statement how they prepared warrant of arrest. You know, the prosecutor said that he established a special group of experts, especially from international lawyers who had really huge experience in these criminal investigations. Then the prosecutor said that this group of people, expert, independent, some of them are from Western countries, approved that such a demand is necessary. I think the prosecutor did this just to get rid of so huge pressure. Another reason was that Israel really made an objection to the International Criminal Court's jurisdiction over Israeli citizens. This is another reason that the court, it took so much time to give a decision. The court had to examine the Israeli objections against court's jurisdiction. One part of the Israeli objection was about Netanyahu's and Gallant's possible arrest, and he said the Israeli objection is also pointing to some articles of the statute, like Article 18 and 19, to say that, you know, the court has authority to give the decision about jurisdiction before issuing an arrest warrant of arrest. So the court had to deal with these at the same time. That's why I think it took a lot of time. So eventually, so we know that, of course, the prosecutor might be, conducting investigation against many other people, including the citizens of Israel at the moment, but we don't know yet who they are until the prosecutor requests a arrest warrant from the chamber. Maybe in the near future, we will see that the prosecutor will demand new arrest warrants for some other people, but we are 100% sure that there are criminal investigations against Netanyahu and Gallant because the prosecutor compiled enough evidence to request the arrest warrant from the chamber. And I'm sure there are many other people against whom there are criminal investigation by the prosecutor. Arrest warrant is so significant in the process of court because the court has no jurisdiction to try people in absentia. That means for a criminal trial, you have to bring that person before the court to continue a trial. So far, it's an investigation. But as soon as the trial is open, to continue on trial, you have to bring that person physically before the court. So that's why the arrest warrants are so significant. So last week, the court declared two decisions. The chamber actually declared two decisions. By the way, the decisions were taken unanimously. So three of these judges, all of them, approved unanimously two decisions. The first one concerned Mohammed Taif, and the court declared a warrant of arrest for Mohammed Taif, but did not declare any decision concerning Sinwar and Haniye because the court says that the chamber says that they are confirmed that. So that's why the chamber could not issue any decision on them concerning the arrest warrant request. But the court says that they are not sure, the court is not sure about the situation of Mohammed Taif, whether he is alive or dead. There are some allegations that Mohammed Taif is also dead, were also killed by Israel. But it's not certain, according to the court. It's not 100% clear that he's dead. So that's why the court made a decision for arrest warrant for Mohammed Taif. Another decision, the second decision, concerned the objections of Israel and the request for arrest warrant for Netanyahu and Gallant. In a single decision, the chamber refused all the objections from Israeli side, and it said they have clearly jurisdiction over the Israeli citizens. This is the first opinion of the court. The second opinion is that Israel cannot make any objection to the ICC's jurisdiction concerning Netanyahu and Gallant before making a decision. Afterward, Israel make another objection concerning the arrest warrant for Netanyahu and Gallant, but not before the decision. Probably afterwards, there would be some more objections against the court's decision to issue an arrest warrant for Netanyahu and Gallant. We will see. So here, as a last part of my speech, the chamber talked about some evidences why the chamber issued the arrest warrant for Mohammed Taif. All the the court said that the chamber said that there are enough evidences that Mohammed Taif is involved in war crimes and crimes against humanity concerning the attacks in 7th October. So all the justifications of the chamber concerned the events that took place in one day, which is the Hamas attacks on 7th October, not afterwards, but just on the 7th October, because a lot of civilians were also killed on 7th October by Hamas attack. So the leaders of Hamas, including Mohammed Taif, are under accusations that they have committed war crimes and crimes against humanity. How about Netanyahu and Gallant? Of course, the chamber, explained all the details of evidences why the chamber issues a warrant of arrest for these two people, Netanyahu and Gallant. Actually, the chamber took them together, not separate. First of all, the chamber says that all the attacks in Gaza, whatever happened, are the events in which Netanyahu and Gallant are all covered by their decisions and involvement. So they have full criminal responsibility for events that has been taking place in Gaza until 20 May, because it was the 20th May of 2024 that the prosecutor requested arrest warrant from the court. So the court examined all the events starting from 7th October, especially 8th October until 20th May, on which the prosecutor requested arrest warrant. So the chamber has an authority to look at the events that took place between 7 October and 20th May of 2024. So within this period, according to the chamber, Gallant and Netanyahu have full criminal responsibility over the events that has been taking place in Gaza between these dates. The first accusation against these two people, Netanyahu and Gallant, is war crimes, but especially one act, starvation. Just like prosecutor, the chamber emphasized that the starvation is used as a tool of war against Palestinian people in Gaza by Israeli administration, Netanyahu and Gallant. So starvation is a weapon, used as a weapon against Palestinian people in Gaza. So that's a criminal act, and which is a war crime. And the chamber also said that there are crimes against humanity that have been, actually there are enough evidences that the Gallant and Netanyahu are involved in the war crimes against humanity in Gaza, like willful killing of civilians, starvation, inhuman treatment, and also says that all other inhuman acts against Palestinians. The court gives a lot of details, like they cut the humanitarian aid, they cut all the necessary needs of Palestinian people, like food, shelter, water, medicine, medical care. According to chamber, all of them are deliberately cut by Israeli authorities, and that caused a lot of deaths, alongside with the deaths resulted from the military attacks. So they are, according to the court, are crimes against humanity. There was another argument of crime of extermination. The court said that, the chamber said that they had not enough evidence, especially between these two dates, to say that crime of extermination was committed by Israeli forces. Of course, the chamber looked at the evidences between these two dates. That's still possible that, from the very beginning, 7th October, maybe earlier, of course, the court jurisdiction covers all the events before 7th October back to 2015. Maybe there are evidences that the crime of extermination is also committed by Israeli forces in Gaza. And another problem, as a last sentence of myself, is that, there is no mention of crime of genocide either in the request of the prosecutor or in the decision of the chamber. It might be expected that the crime of genocide could be one of the allegations against these two people. But anyway, there is no such mention. But it doesn't mean that it would not be the case in the future as the trials goes by. I think I have to stop here, not to extend anymore. If there are questions, so of course we can continue to talk about the details.
Thanks for this comprehensive presentation. I learned a lot because, this is a very technical and sometimes very detailed the issue this in the ICC process and what they were looking at more than the other things. So I learned a lot from your presentation. Maybe it is important to give the floor first to our let's say the guests. Ambassador Hasan Göğüş is with us. Would you like to ask any question to Yücel Acer?
First of all, I would like to thank, I think there is only 3 of us. So maybe we can switch to Turkish.
I think there are people listening to us, maybe not in the studio, yeah?
Maybe
later. No, I checked on the net.
There's nobody.
3 participants only.
Yes. Oh, okay. 3 participants, but this recording will be uploaded to the system. Maybe that's
okay. First of all, I would like to thank you very sincerely to Professor Yücel, who's a good friend of mine. It was an excellent presentation. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. I was out, so I missed the first part, but the rest was excellent. I was just checking the internet while Professor was speaking. I just came to know a notice info from the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying that Netanyahu has diplomatic immunity. Yes. What can you say for that?
Yes, that's the very interesting part of this warrant of arrest decision, unfortunately. Mr. Ambassador, as you said, there are some countries who are thinking otherwise. Of course, let me start with the United States of America. And there is a statement from United States of America after this decision. And the American authorities say that court has no jurisdiction, first of all, to try the citizens of Israel. Actually, United States made an internal regulation, which is nicknamed as Hague regulation, to protect the American soldiers and American people from the jurisdiction of the court. And it's a very harsh internal regulation saying that if the International Criminal Court issues any arrest warrant for the American citizens, and if any country would like to or attempt to, arrest the American citizens on the decision of the ICC, then America will react militarily to protect them. That's possible that, although America is not a party to the court,
yes,
that's quite possible that the American citizens could be under ICC jurisdiction because they are operating inside the territories of member countries. That's quite possible. So that's why United States of America took such an internal safeguard in a sense, but not, in my perception, not a legal safeguard, properly legal safeguard, but it's an internal safeguard. And it's like a threat to the International Criminal Court that don't issue any arrest warrant for the US citizens. Otherwise, we would react militarily. And in the statements of America concerning this warrant of arrest for Netanyahu or Gallant, we have seen the same statements saying that America may react militarily if any country or if any person attempt to arrest Netanyahu and Gallant. Maybe in the future we will see some more Israelis. And they take such a firm stance, and their justification is that the court has no jurisdiction. And the second is that, as French authorities say, they have diplomatic immunity. Speaking from the international criminal law perspective, it's all invalid to say that people who have official status are exempt from the jurisdiction or exempt from the warrant of arrest decisions. If it were so, then the court would probably say that, yes, I cannot issue an arrest warrant because they are under diplomatic immunity. There is no such regulation. If we look at relevant articles of ICC status, let me give the numbers of these articles. According to these Article 89, for example, paragraph 1, and Article 91, obviously, clearly says no exemption for the people who have official status, and just talks about the obligation to cooperate. If there is a decision of court for arrest warrant, so all the member countries should cooperate to get these people. So the court could take specific requests, make specific requests from certain countries, and they could be secret according to the status. For example, the court could probably send an official request from state of, for example, Saudi Arabia, for example. Or if Gallant, for example, visits Saudi Arabia, and if there was a previous information about that, the court may send a request to the government of Saudi Arabia to say that, please arrest him. The statute even covers the situations that if, for the transit countries, imagine that Gallant is traveling to the United States, but it calls on Germany, for example. Germany is one of the member countries of the ICC, and Germany is under obligation to arrest Gallant, for example, or Netanyahu, and hand over them to international criminal. That's according to the statute. France is one of the countries who are parties to the ICC statute. They cannot say this. The statute is so clear. That's a specific regulation, as Mr. Ambassador knows very well, that the diplomatic immunity comes from certain international regulations, especially from the Vienna Convention.
Vienna Convention.
Yes. But the Vienna Convention is a previous regulation than the ICC statute. Why France did not make any reservation about the possible arrest of the French official, for example, saying that diplomatic immunity prevails? There was no such statement French government concerning any such reservation about the possible arrest of officials, including the prime minister and presidents. Since there is no objections or reservations from French government or from other countries, then of course the ICC statute applies, because it's a recent convention. If there is a conflict between two conventions, then ICC convention prevails because this one is the last one, the later one. So it reflects the real, real preference of the states, not the Vienna Convention. Of course, Vienna Convention applies as a general principles. There is a firm international law principles. Most of them come from the Vienna Convention concerning the diplomatic immunities and privileges. But of course, there are specific regulations like this one, and they prevail.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have any other question? Because your microphone is muted.
No, thank you. Thank you. That was very helpful.
Helping for us to understand more comprehensively. I have a question for Professor Acer. You mentioned something very critical, and since the beginning of this, let's say the jurisdiction, we were focusing on this terminology, especially on TV shows. Every day there was a discussion about how to call this happening. Is it a crime against humanity? Is it a war crime or genocide, or what is it, massacre? So this preference to choose it, to call as a crime, a war crime, means something degrading what's happening, I mean, according to international law. Or there were some comments, because I'm not an international lawyer, that's why I want to ask that. Do you think that the war crime is something less than any other, let's say, the crimes defined in international law?
Yes, I think that's a very critical question, Zohal. It's a very important question. War crimes, of course, they are very heavy crimes. They are committed during the armed conflicts, mostly armed conflicts. But they could be committed in international conflicts, also in internal conflicts. Imagine that a group of soldiers are attacking another group, or sometimes the government is attacking on a military group inside the country. Again, it's possible that war crimes are committed, although it's an internal conflict. There are special articles in the Geneva Conventions, 1949 Geneva Conventions, concerning internal conflicts specifically. Also possible in international conflicts. By the way, the Chamber says that there are elements of internal conflicts and international conflicts concerning Gaza attacks of Israel. Israeli forces entered into the Palestinian territory of Gaza, according to the Chamber, and they are attacking civilians, and that's an internal part of the conflict. And also, the Chamber says that since there is a conflict between Israel and Hamas, and it's an international conflict. So, actually, this is to say that Hamas is not purely a terrorist organization. It's a military band fighting against Israel. So the conflict between Hamas and Israel is purely an international conflict. If it were a terrorist crime, terrorism as a crime, for example, the court has no jurisdiction to try the people who are committing crime of terrorism. But the court has jurisdiction over the people committing genocide, war crime, crime against humanity, and even of crime of aggression. So that's the opinion of the Chamber. But although war crimes are so serious, they are not as serious as crimes against humanity, simply because in the case of war crimes, there are military attacks, and sometimes because of negligence or without targeting a specific group, they are killing people. Sometimes it would be innocent people, non-combatant people like civilians, journalists and medical personnel, and these kind of people, or sometimes prisoners of war. When they are killed during the armed conflict, not specifically targeting them, then it would be a war crime. But if you are targeting a group of people as a planned action, then it would be a crime against humanity. It is more serious because it is more serious than just simply killing randomly killing a civilians. Of course, it's more serious than randomly killing to target a group of people to harm them. So that's crimes against humanity. In the case of genocide, genocide is taken as a most serious crime simply because, killing a person is a very, sincere crime, more hated, maybe most hated crime in a community because you are killing a human being. But imagine that if you intend to kill an ethnic group or a religious group, partly or completely, if you have an intention to kill a people, to exterminate them, that's of course much more than killing a person. You are just trying to get rid of a people, a group of people who are ethnically different, who are religiously different, maybe nationally different, simply because they are ethnically different and or religiously different, you are intending to exterminate them. That's the most serious crime, of course. It takes really huge courage in commas, to try to get rid of a group of people. What Israel does in Gaza, of course, could be questioned from this perspective. There are many evidences that the people of Palestine is targeted, maybe with an intention to destroy partly or completely. So this intention should be proved through the judicial processes. We have not 100% sure that there is such an intention, but there are many evidences to show that there could be such an intention. But it's quite certain that there are crimes against humanity because a group of people are targeted openly. There are plenty of evidences of crimes against humanity. But I think genocide requires the intention should be proved separately, and it will take some time, I think.
Thank you for your answer. It is really important detail what you say, especially this having target to abolish all the, let's say, the people, to let's say somehow expulse all this group of people from the Palestine. Actually, we have so many things in our mind to discuss. It's a very wide issue, but we have very limited time period for this online session. We are planning to upload this session into YouTube, and if we have additional questions to our session, most probably you will see them under our YouTube recording. Thanks for your participation and accepting our invitation, Professor Yücel Acer, and thank you, Ambassador Hasan Göğüş, for your.
No.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting
you again. I hope to see you in another event. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.